the final day of Dephemerember 2025, which is our ephemera creating challenge for December, run by Barbara from 49 Dragonflies and Louise Heinzel. Now, our final prompt for day 31 is specimen cards and fallen leaves. And as you can see, I have some fallen leaves. Now, I'm going to be honest and say to you, specimen cards are probably my least favourite ephemera to make. And if you watched my video yesterday, you will know that I only make them when it's a challenge or a prompt like this. However, I have given myself a good talking to and a kick up the backside, and I'm fortifying myself with the last couple of lovely little orange crisp chockies from my lovely swap partner Gajana, whose channel Diary of a Creative Therapist. And we have been working this month with things that we have sent each other. So I'm going to be including the last few of things from the box of goodies she sent me in today, and I'm going to be eating the last of my little chocolates here. Now, as I say, I've given myself a bit of a kick up the bum, and I'm going to show you 3 different ways of making specimen cards today. And funnily enough, I'm going to be putting fallen leaves into my specimen cards. Now, some of these are quite big, and that's going to be interesting to work with. But we will see how we go. So sit back, relax, enjoy, and hopefully one of the 3 things I'm showing you today will inspire you to have a go. Okay, for my first 2 cards, what you will see is that I have put these 2 leaves through a laminator. Now, I have a cold laminator, but I'm pretty sure this would work with a hot one as well. So I have my 2 laminated leaves there. What I have done is to cut pieces of this kind of thin card, slightly bigger than my leaves. Now, if these leaves were smaller, or ideally, what I would use would be a die cut to cut a hole in these pieces of card that the leaf will look through. However, I don't have a die cut big enough or the right shape for either of these, so I'm going to show you how to do it by hand. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to check my measurements on this one. Yeah, what you'll notice with these pieces of paper is that I'm using up bits and pieces. So I wouldn't use this, but that's going to be on the inside, so it doesn't matter. I'm using up pieces of paper that are left over from other projects in this challenge, but you can use whatever you like. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure. And I'm going to turn this one over because I think it will be easier. I'm just double checking this to make sure it's going to work. Yeah. I'm going to measure 1/4 of an inch in all the way around. So in effect, I'm giving myself a frame which is 1/4 of an inch wide. Now, you can do the frame whatever size you like. I've just chosen that because that actually it fitted on the paper that I had left over. So you can hear it's raining again today. This is our summer. Right, I'm going to draw around those lines. Okay, so what you'll see there is I've got a narrow border of 1/4 inch. I'm just going to check that because it doesn't quite look right. Yep, it is. Okay, right. I'm then going to put I'm hoping this is going to work. Bear with me, I'm just looking for a clip. Here we go. I'm going to clip my 2 pieces of paper together. Like this. I'll get my cutting mat. Nice sharp craft knife, a metal ruler. And I'm going to cut there we go. All right, these 2 pieces I'm going to keep. I've got something, and I'm going to use those in one of the other specimen card projects later on. And these are going to be my 2 frames. Now, as I say, this one is quite a thin frame. You might want yours a little bit bigger. But as I say, I was working with the paper I had, and also this leaf is quite long this way, and so I didn't want it to be too big and not fit in a journal. All right, I'm going to put that to the side for a moment, and I'm going to do exactly the same with this one. Now I'm going to have a measure here and see whether my frame can be a little bit bigger on this one. Okay, on this one I'm going to make my frame 1/2 inch. It doesn't matter if I lose just a little bit of the stem on this leaf, and I've got a little bit more room to play with. So I'm going to do exactly the same. I don't need to clip them at the moment, sorry. Gosh, I'm going to do exactly the same, but I'm going to measure 1/2 inch all the way around this one, and then cut. Now, what I've just noticed is actually how that has cut out. I could actually use either side of that one, and I'm quite liking this side, but we'll see. All right, the next thing to do is to center your leaf in the right place on your frame, and then cut around the laminating sheet, and I do it just, well, depends what you're going to do next. I tend to do it just fractionally smaller. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit more off this side. And just a fraction more off the top. Yeah, I know this looks like I'm being fussy, but what I would like is for this acetate laminating sheet, whatever you call it, to sit just inside my frame so that I don't see it. And that is just inside. Okay. Once you've done that, you need some glue. Now, I'm actually going to use a silicone glue, which I find holds acetate or slippery things like this really well. It does come out a bit quickly though. Let's spread that along a bit. Does it have a top and bottom? That's the other thing you need to check. Maybe I'm going to call that the top. And you literally just pop your specimen in. There we go. And I need to decide. Ooh, I want that side out. That side out. And that side out, I think. So again, I'm just going to go around with a layer of now, however carefully you cut these, you do sometimes need to do just a little bit of trimming once they're dry. But that, in essence, is your specimen card, and what you do from now on and how you decorate it is entirely up to you. So I'm going to put that one to the side to dry, and I'm going to do exactly the same process with this one. Now, the other way to do it, of course, is not to trim your acetate until you've got it into the frames, and then you just literally trim along the side. And I tell you what, I'll do that with this one, and then you'll see the difference. At this stage, stuck to my desk. At this stage, those frames can still slide around on that acetate. So I'm going to put this to the side, make sure it dries thoroughly, and then I will trim around. So we're going to come back to those once they're properly dry, and I will show you how I'm going to finish them off. So I'm going to have a clear up, and I'm going to show you my idea for the second way of making specimen cards. For my second idea, I'm going to try something a bit different. My lovely partner Gajana from Diary of a Creative Therapist sent me this in my swap box, and this is what we used to call sticky back plastic. That's the stuff that you can coat books and things like that with. But I don't know whether you can see on camera, but this has got some lovely sort of holographic stars in it. And I've been hanging on and not using it during this challenge. And today I thought I must use this because it's so lovely. What I'm thinking, I haven't got enough to do it both sides, but what I'm thinking is that I would like to make some specimen cards. It may be that I can only do one. We'll see. I have to have a look and see what smaller leaves I have. Or it might be that we could do one of these. That might work. Right, so my idea is to have the sparkly holographic paper on one side, and then this is just, I don't know, some packaging acetate type stuff, and put that on the other side. And my theory is that the sticky back plastic will attach to this and we won't need any glue. So that's my theory. Let me see how we go. What I'm going to do to start with is turn this over, and I'm going to cut two pieces that my leaves fit onto, leaving just a little bit of a border. So I think if I go down that line there, and perhaps that one there, and I'm going to do that on my trimmer. So I have been quite generous with the size of these plastic bits. Just there we go. Now that is sticky side up. And I'm going to carefully, I'm actually just going to take a little bit off that stem. I'm going to carefully place this in the middle. And making sure this is clean. I'm going to place that over the top. Now in theory, when I press that down, the sticky back plastic will adhere all those little bubbles out. Woohoo! There we go. A little bubble there still. Let's just work that out. There we are. Right, let's do the same for this one. All right, now this is why I left quite a generous amount, because when you put the two things together, it's really quite hard to get them exactly lined up. And if you've got a little bit of wiggle room there, then that doesn't much matter. That's really quite a cool effect. I quite like that. Okay, now with these ones, I'm pretty sure because they're smaller, I'm going to have a die cut that I can use. So I'm going to go find that and I will come back. All right, I have this die that is just going to be about the right size for both of them. And I have these 2 pieces of paper which were left from the middle of that biggest frame we cut just now. So I'm going to run these 2 through my brain's gone, through my die cut machine, and then I will be back. All right, so they're cut out, and of course as I was cutting I realized I needed 4 frames, so I found a little bit extra of those scraps and I've got 4 frames. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to trim down the acetate. Oh, and that one just fits along the sides there. Okay, so I'm going to trim a little bit off the bottom of that one, stick that one in there, and the same with this one. I'm going to put those to the side to dry as well. And just a little heads up, when I was cutting these frames, I layered the 2 pieces of card together and cut them at the same time, and that way I made sure that the windows lined up. They're rather cute. Right, let's pop those to dry. I'm going to show you one more idea that I have for specimen cards, which is just a little bit different. So I'll grab the bits and pieces I need and be right back. My third and final idea for specimen cards are using these, they're like a small business envelope. You could use any envelope that you've got. And in fact, let me show you something. This was one I did when we were doing the altered envelopes, and I actually covered an envelope with a napkin. Now you could do this as well. This is a little bit busy, but if you had a plainer, I guess, napkin, then you could cover your envelope with the napkin first. And I'll link that video down below if you want to know how to do that. I'm going to do these plain for today. I might add something on afterwards, but I'm going to start with them plain. Now I have these 2 small leaves. Now it is the same as this one, but I don't think that matters. These come from our bougainvillea plant. All my other leaves are really too big to do this with, but I have this, which is a piece of bark from a tree fuchsia, which is beautiful. So I'm going to use that instead. Now, again, these are the offcuts from one of those first cards, and I'm going to be using those. What I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the leaves to these cards. I'm going to put them in the envelope, and then I'm going to cut them, and I'm going to make a specimen card that way. I've not done this before. You know, last day of the challenge, let's try something different. But we'll see. Let's see what it comes out like. So what I need to figure out is where, okay, so I think if I pop these about there, let's sit down a moment. Now, I'm just going to put a tiny blob of glue on the back, and this is literally just to hold them in place on the card, because if my idea works, they're going to be encased in the envelope and they're not going to move, so we'll see. I'm going to put 2 in here just for the fun of it. Pop them like that, and I don't want that to stick to the front window, so I'm just going to give that a minute. And whilst that's doing that, let's see if we can get some bark in here. Just very gently break that. I don't want to lose that interesting texture, so I'm going to take just a little bit more off that side. Okay. Right, let's see if this has worked. So even those leaves are a little bit big. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to reposition them. Oh, I might be able to. Right. See if I can just get that up without. If I pull that one down like that. Let's see if that's better. I thought they fitted in that window when I tried them earlier. Oh, that's better, look. There we go. As I say, ideally, I would use some smaller leaves. Now, let me think. Right, what I'm going to do is to reach in, that's in the right place, so I'm just going to put a dab of glue on the back of this piece of card, and then press the back of the envelope down so that it's held in the right place for the window. Cool. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure this distance here. It's about okay to there. Is it a better measurement in centimetres? Yeah, okay, it's 1.5 centimetres. Okay, we'll do the same with this one. Now, holding that up to the light, I can see that this line comes within this part of the envelope. I don't need, it's going to cut this bit off. So I'm going to stick the flap out like that. There we go. See what I mean? The hole. Yeah, I didn't need that V bit. Just thinking that would make a cool sort of hinge for a flip out, wouldn't it? All right, let's put those bits away. Okay. Now with these, you could, of course, if you want to, cut across the bottom or the top, make them as large or as small as you want. What I'm going to do now is to take these two to my sewing machine. And then I'll come back and we will have a look at everything that we've done and decide if we're going to do any decoration today. All right, guys, here we go. So as you can see, if I hold that way, I've stitched around the edge with a bit of a zigzag, and then I've just gone round the window there with a straight stitch. And what those two things are doing is, one, they're holding the envelope together, and two, they're just defining that little window with the specimen in. So there's those two, just a different form of specimen card, I guess. And as I say, you could make these any size you like, really. So there's those two. I also ran the sewing machine around one of these just to show you the difference. So they're the ones we did with the holographic sticky back plastic, and then these were the first two we did. So I trimmed this one off, and again I've just run the sewing machine around that. And I think with this one, with that quite narrow border, that's also just going to strengthen that and hold it together. So that's the 6 specimen cards that I've done today. Now clearly, before these go into a journal, I will add maybe some page tabs or some field labels, whatever else. I'll probably ink the edges, you know, however you like to decorate your specimen cards. And what goes with the aesthetic you're trying to achieve is entirely up to you. I have completely run out of time today, so I'm going to pop these into my box, and in the true spirit of compartmental making, they will be finished off at a later date as they go into my journal. So that's our last video for Dephemerember 2025, guys. I want to say a massive thank you to my swap partner Gajana at Diary of a Creative Therapist for swapping a wonderful box of stuff with me and making this challenge just so much more fun, using things that she sent me and seeing her use things I'd sent. So thank you to Gajana. Also, of course, thank you to Louise and Barbara for organising this challenge once again. It's been great fun. And lastly, thank you to all of you who have watched along with my videos, old subscribers, new subscribers. I really appreciate it. Mine is a small channel. I do it purely for my own enjoyment and relaxation. And if I can share some inspiration with others whilst doing that, then that gives me great pleasure. So thank you all for sticking with me watching. I hope that somewhere in the last 31 days you have picked up some things you'd like to try for yourself. I'm going to have a few days break now, but I will be back around the second-ish week of January. And I'm going to, one of the things I'm going to be doing in January is to start to put some of this ephemera together into 2 journals. So do tune in January and see how that all comes together, because for me this is a really different way of doing things, is making everything first and then putting it in a journal. So I think that for me is the next step in this process, and one that I'm really keen to try out and see how it goes. So please do join me for that in January. In the meantime, have a wonderful new year if you're celebrating this evening. Stay safe, folks. Thank you once again for all your contributions. For now, ka kite anō. See you soon.